This ancient manuscript reveals a truth that has been intentionally veiled for centuries. You do not attract wealth. You are wealth itself, and your mind is the switch that illuminates this reality once you flip it. You will not need to seek power. Power will flow through you as its natural and eternal source. You stand at a sacred threshold not by chance, but by the summoning of your own soul, which has grown weary of the illusion of struggle. This is not a book of techniques, but a transmission of pure frequency, an activation of the dormant power that sleeps within your consciousness. The ancient masters of reality did not create through effort. They understood that the universe is a projection of the mind, a grand mirror reflecting with perfect precision the images held within. They did not learn to manifest, they remembered they were the manifester. The time has come for you to remember too, to shed the layers of limitation that have bound you to a reality of scarcity and effort to reclaim the divine authority that is your birthright. In these words, you will find the key to rewiring the very architecture of your mind, transforming it from a receiver of circumstance into a commander of reality. The teachings that follow are not for the timid, they are for the soul that is ready to abandon the comfort of victimhood and step into the fire of creation. The world you have known is a dream from which you are about to awaken. What you discover on the other side will not just change your life, it will reveal that you were the creator of it all along. The moment you grasp this truth, you will never be the same again. In the heart of a city that never slept lived a man named Alistair. His apartment was a temple to the art of self-improvement. Shelves overflowed with books on neuroscience, positive psychology, and quantum manifestation. His mornings were a symphony of ritual cold plunges, gratitude journals, and unwavering affirmations of success. Yet as years turned to seasons, Alistair's reality remained a stubborn echo of his past, a landscape of missed opportunities and financial strain. He felt like an architect drawing magnificent blueprints on sand, watching each tide of reality wash them away. You have walked this path. You have felt the sting of dedication, met with silence. The universe is not deaf to your calls. It is responding to a deeper signal, one you may not even know. You are sending the great illusion that traps so many, is the belief that mental effort equals creative power. You have been taught to think positive thoughts, to visualize with intensity, to affirm with conviction. But these are merely ripples on the surface of a vast ocean. Your reality is shaped not by these fleeting waves, but by the deep, immutable currents of your core programming, the hidden architecture of your mind. This architecture is formed from beliefs so fundamental you mistake them for reality itself. Beliefs about your worth, about what is possible, about the very nature of existence. One evening, as Alistair stared at his vision board, a collage of desires that felt more distant than ever, a woman with eyes that held the stillness of ancient forests, approached him in the quiet library. "You are trying to decorate a house that has no foundation," she said, her voice a soft whisper that carried the weight of profound truth. He began to explain his methods, his discipline, his unwavering focus, but she gently raised a hand. True power does not build upon the old. It creates anew. In that moment, the illusion shattered. Alistair saw that he had been trying to hang pictures of a palace on the walls of a prison built from his own unconscious beliefs. The sacred practice of foundation, a discovery, awaits you. Take a blank journal and in a quiet space, write at the top of the page what is undeniably true about my life. Let the words flow without filter or judgment. Do not write what you wish to be true, but what feels unshakably real in your gut. These are the foundational beliefs upon which your reality is built. To see them is the first step to dissolving them and building a new temple of your being, a sanctuary where wealth and power are not visitors, but permanent residents, because you have finally laid the foundation that can hold them in the gilded halls of a powerful corporation. Helena moved with a confidence that masked a deep and gnawing void. She had achieved every marker of success, a coveted position, a luxurious home, a life admired by all, yet each night she would return to an echoing silence, a sense of profound powerlessness despite her apparent authority. She felt like a puppet master whose strings were being pulled by an unseen hand. She managed vast resources, yet felt a deep scarcity within. She commanded teams, yet felt a complete lack of control over her own destiny. This paradox is one you may know intimately. You have been conditioned to believe that power is an external commodity, something to be acquired through position, status, or wealth. You chase these phantoms believing they will grant you the authority you crave, only to find that true power remains as elusive as ever. The truth is, you are the source of all power you will ever experience. It is not a destination to be reached, but an energy to be recognized within your own consciousness. It has never been separate from you. It has only been veiled by your belief that it lies outside yourself. Every time you seek validation, you give your power away. Every time you blame circumstances, you declare your own impotence. The universe, in its perfect mirroring of your inner state, can only respond by manifesting more situations that confirm this belief of powerlessness. One night, Helena had a vivid dream. She stood in a vast desert, and before her was a magnificent oasis, but it was enclosed in a fortress of glass. She could see the water, the lush greenery, the life-giving abundance, but she could not touch it. She pounded on the glass walls, but they would not yield. Then a voice from within the oasis spoke. "The walls are made of your own belief that you are on the outside." Helena awoke with a start, the dream's message echoing in her soul. She had been living her life pounding on the glass walls of her own limitations, believing that the power she sought was separate from her. In that moment of awakening, she did not gain anything new. She simply remembered what had always been true. She was already inside the oasis, the sacred practice of reclaiming. Your authority is a powerful one. Find a quiet moment and close your eyes. Visualize a golden throne in the center of your heart. See yourself sitting upon it, not with arrogance, but with the quiet dignity of one who knows their divine right to rule their own reality. Feel the energy of sovereign power flowing from this throne through every cell of your being. Declare silently to yourself, "I am the source of my power. I am the authority in my reality. I reclaim all that I have given away." Let this feeling of innate authority become your new center, your new foundation. From this place you no longer need to seek power. You are power in the ancient city of Alexandria. A young scholar named Julian devoted his life to studying the known laws of the universe. He mastered physics, mathematics, and philosophy, believing that through intellectual understanding he could bend reality to his will. He created intricate formulas for success, meticulously calculated pathways to wealth. Yet his life remained a testament to unfulfilled potential, a library of knowledge with no worldly expression. The universe operates on laws far deeper than those your conscious mind can grasp. You have been taught the law of attraction, but this is like being taught the first letter of an alphabet, while the great library of cosmic law remains unread. Beyond this surface principle lie the sacred mechanics of creation, the laws that govern how thought coalesces into form. The law of vibration dictates that your entire reality is a symphony of frequency. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you are. Your being is a broadcast tower sending a constant signal to the universe. The law of correspondence reveals, as within, so without. Your external world is a flawless mirror of your internal architecture. To change the reflection, you must change the face that gazes into it. The law of rhythm shows that all things flow in and out, like the tides. To resist the outflow of one reality is to block the inflow of the next. Mastery lies in learning to dance with this universal ebb and flow. One evening, as Julian sat amidst his scrolls, frustrated by the gap between his knowledge and his experience, A cloaked figure entered his study. The figure, who carried no books and spoke in simple parables, possessed a power that Julian could feel resonating in the very air. "You have learned the words of the song," the stranger said, his voice like the turning of ancient pages. "But you have not yet felt its music." In that moment, Julian understood his error. He had been trying to command the ocean by memorizing the names of its waves instead of learning to become the tide itself. Your journey is much like Julian's. You may have accumulated vast spiritual and intellectual knowledge, yet find yourself standing at the precipice of true power, unable to make the leap. This is because the final key is not knowledge, but embodiment. It is the shift from knowing about the laws to becoming a living expression of them. The sacred practice of the inner compass will guide you in this sit in stillness and bring to mind a desire instead of thinking about how to get it. Ask your body a simple question on a scale of 1 to 10. How aligned am I with this reality right now? Trust the number that arises without analysis. This is your inner compass reading. It reveals your true vibrational set point. Your work is not to force the manifestation, but to gently raise this internal number through embodiment and alignment until it reaches a 10, at which point manifestation is not a possibility, but an inevitability. In a dimly lit garret overlooking the city, a painter named Isabel labored over her canvases with a desperate intensity. Each brushstroke was a prayer, each finished piece a plea for recognition. She believed that if she could just perfect her technique, create a masterpiece of undeniable brilliance, the world would finally grant her the success she craved. Her studio became a shrine to effort, filled with the scent of turpentine and the silent screams of her unfulfilled ambition. You have been told that effort is the currency of achievement, that struggle is a noble path to success. This is the most pervasive lie that keeps humanity in chains. The universe does not reward struggle. It rewards alignment. When you operate from a state of desperate striving, you broadcast a powerful frequency of lack to the universe, and the universe, in its perfect obedience, must send you more experiences of lack to match your signal. It is a flawless system. What you chase flees from you. This is an immutable law of energy. The very act of chasing something affirms its absence, creating a self-perpetuating loop of desire and disappointment. The masters of reality do not chase, they attract. They do not strive, they allow. Their power lies not in the force of their will, but in the magnetism of their being. One stormy night, as Isabel was about to destroy her latest work in a fit of despair, an old art critic who had heard of her talent appeared at her door. He looked at her paintings not with a critical eye, but with a deep compassion. "Your technique is flawless," he said softly, "but your canvases are screaming with need. Stop trying to paint a masterpiece and simply allow the masterpiece that you are to paint through you." His words pierced through Isabel's frustration like a ray of light through storm clouds. She realized she had been trying to earn her worthiness through her art. Instead of allowing her inherent worth to flow into her creations, she put down her brushes, and for the first time in years, she simply sat in her studio feeling the quiet power of her own presence, without the need to prove it. When she picked up her brush again, the work that emerged was different. It was imbued with a quiet confidence, an effortless grace. It was no longer a plea, but a declaration. The sacred practice of the magnetic state will help you shift from desperation to magnetism. Stand before a mirror and look into your own eyes for 1 full minute. Do not judge or affirm, just be present with the being looking back at you. Recognize that this being needs nothing to be complete now. For the next 5 minutes, move through your space as if you already possess everything you desire. How would you walk? How would you breathe? What is the quality of your presence? Feel the shift from the needy energy of seeking to the magnetic energy of having. This state of being is the most powerful manifestation tool you possess. In a quiet suburb, a man named Samuel lived a life of quiet repetition. Each day he drove the same route to the same office. had the same conversations, and experienced the same nagging feeling that he was trapped on a hamster wheel. He tried to change his circumstances. He applied for new jobs. He started new hobbies. But each attempt at escape inevitably led him back to the same familiar reality, as if an invisible tether was pulling him back to his starting point. You are not living a life, you are living a program. Your reality is not a series of random events, but a meticulously executed script, written by the deepest levels of your mind. Your subconscious is a supercomputer running programs based on every experience, emotion, and belief you have ever held. It does not judge or analyze it, simply executes its instructions with flawless precision, creating a physical reality that perfectly matches its internal code. This is the reality loop, the reason why willpower so often fails and why New Year's resolutions are forgotten by February. Your conscious mind may desire change, but your subconscious mind, which controls over 95% of your life, is dedicated to maintaining the familiar programs. It knows even if those programs create suffering, it prefers the certainty of a known misery to the uncertainty of an unknown reality. The key to breaking free is not to fight the program, but to rewrite it. One evening, Samuel was watching a documentary about deep-sea exploration. He saw how a submarine could not simply ascend by its own power. It had to change its internal ballast, its density, to rise naturally. The analogy struck him with profound clarity. He had been trying to fight the pressure of his reality instead of changing the internal state that was creating it. The universe does not respond to your willpower. It responds to your programming to change your life. You must change the fundamental beliefs that are running the show. This is not about surface-level positive thinking. It is about deep-level reprogramming, an alchemical process of transforming the lead of your limiting beliefs into the gold of empowered reality. The sacred practice of pattern interruption will begin this process. Identify one recurring negative pattern in your life. The next time you feel yourself entering this loop, a familiar argument, a surge of anxiety, a moment of self-sabotage, consciously interrupt it. Take a deep breath and physically move your body. Get up, walk around, shake your hands. This physical break disrupts the neurological pathway of the old program. Then declare a new reality aloud. For example, if the pattern is anxiety, say, "I am the master of my state. I choose peace." Now this is the first step in seizing conscious control of your internal programming and breaking the chains of your past. In a small studio filled with the scent of incense, a woman named Clara dutifully recited her daily affirmations. "I am wealthy, I am successful, I am loved." She spoke the words with perfect diction and unwavering discipline, yet her reality remained a stark contradiction to her declarations. A silent testament to the gap between words and reality. Energy is the alphabet of the universe, your thoughts. And words are but letters, without the resonant power of emotion to animate them. They are silent and inert. You have been taught that affirmations change reality, but this is a half-truth. Words alone are like unplanted seeds. They hold potential, but without the fertile soil of feeling and the life-giving water of belief, they will never sprout. The universe does not hear your words. It feels your vibration. It responds not to what you say, but to what you are in that moment. If you affirm wealth while feeling the gut-wrenching tightness of lack, you are screaming scarcity into the cosmos. Your energy is your true prayer, and it is always answered with perfect precision. Consider the difference between a love letter written from the depths of a passionate heart and one composed by an artificial intelligence. Both may use the same words, but one pulses with a life force that can cross continents while the other remains a sterile collection of data. Your affirmations must become love letters to the reality you wish to create, infused with the raw, authentic power of your emotional being. One afternoon, as Clara was about to begin her ritual, a child playing in the park outside her window let out a squeal of pure, unadulterated joy. The sound pierced through Clara's disciplined practice and touched something deep within her. She realized that the child's single moment of genuine emotion held more creative power than all her thousands of recited words combined. She abandoned her script, and for the first time she allowed herself to feel what it would be like to have her desires, not to think about it, but to experience the raw, visceral sensation of fulfillment in her body, a wave of gratitude and joy, so powerful it brought tears to her eyes. Washed over her in that moment, she spoke no words, but she had sent the most powerful command possible to the universe. The sacred practice of energetic infusion will teach you this language. Choose one of your affirmations instead of just saying it. Find the core feeling behind it. If the affirmation is, "I am wealthy," the feeling is security, freedom, ease, generosity. Sit with that feeling, cultivate it. Let it expand and fill your entire body until you become the living embodiment of that state. Hold the feeling and then whisper the words. The words are now no longer empty. They are vessels filled with the potent elixir of your own creative energy in a glass tower high above the city. A CEO named Richard orchestrated his company with the precision of a master chess player. He controlled every variable, anticipated every market shift, and managed every employee's performance with an iron will. His company was a monument to his control, a fortress built against the chaos of the world. Yet the more he tightened his grip, the more his own life spiraled into a state of anxious exhaustion. His health deteriorated, his relationships withered, and the joy he thought success would bring remained a perpetually empty promise. Surrender is the most misunderstood and most powerful principle in the universe. You have been taught that control equals power, that to achieve your goals you must force your will upon reality. This is the path of the ego, and it is a path of perpetual struggle. The universe is not a wild beast to be tamed. It is an intelligent, infinitely wise current. To flow with true power is not found in resisting this current, but in aligning with it so perfectly that the universe's power becomes your own. Think of a surfer riding a massive wave. They do not control the ocean. They do not command the wave to bend to their will. They surrender to its power, using their skill and awareness to dance with it in perfect harmony. This is the state of effortless mastery, where doing less achieves more. One weekend, on the verge of a complete breakdown, Richard was dragged by a friend to a remote cabin by a river. For days he watched the water flowing endlessly around rocks and obstacles. It never fought, it never struggled, it simply found the path of least resistance, and in its gentle yielding it possessed the power to carve canyons through solid rock. An old man who lived by the river approached him as he sat on the bank. "You cannot steer a river," he said simply. "You can only become one with its journey." Richard looked at the old man, then at the river, and for the first time he saw the profound futility of his lifelong struggle. He had been trying to steer the river of his life, fighting every current and resisting every turn. In that moment of surrender, he felt a lifetime of tension release from his shoulders. When he returned to his company, he managed it differently. He listened more than he commanded. He responded more than he dictated. He allowed the natural talents of his team to emerge, rather than forcing them into his rigid plans. To his astonishment, the company began to flourish in ways his control had never allowed. The sacred practice of the release breath is a simple yet profound way to cultivate surrender. Sit in a quiet space and bring to mind an area of your life you have been trying to control. Feel the tension of that control in your body. Now take a slow, deep breath in, and as you exhale, consciously release that tension. Visualize yourself letting go of the reins and allowing a higher intelligence to take over with each exhale. Whisper the word release. Feel the peace and power that comes not from gaining control, but from letting it go. In the quantum realm, a place beyond time and space, a scientist named Dr. Aris Thorne conducted an experiment that would shatter the foundations of classical physics. He observed that subatomic particles did not exist in a single fixed state until they were measured. Instead, they existed as a cloud of infinite possibilities, a wave of pure potential. Your life operates on the same principle. You are not a single fixed entity, traveling a predetermined path. You are a being of infinite potential, living in a field of endless possibilities. The version of you who is a celebrated artist, the version who is a spiritual master, the version who is a titan of industry, they all exist right now as real and valid realities. In the quantum field, manifestation is not the act of creating something from nothing. It is the act of choosing which of these infinite realities you wish to experience. You do attract your desires, you select your reality. The shift from one reality to another occurs not through external action, but through an internal change in your state of being, your vibration, your consciousness. When you change who you are being, the universe rearranges itself to present you with a reality that matches your new frequency. This is the secret of the quantum jump, the reason why some people seem to transform their lives overnight. They did not change what they were doing. They changed who they were being. One evening, Dr. Thorne was explaining this to a skeptical colleague, a young journalist named Beatrice. "How can I be in two places at once?" he asked. Thorne simply smiled and pointed to a radio on the shelf. "Is the music on the station at 93.5 FM any less real than the news on 101.1 FM? They both exist simultaneously in the air around us. You simply choose which one you tune into. Your consciousness is the tuner, and your state of in is the frequency." Beatrice was stunned. The metaphor unlocked a new level of understanding. She saw that she hadn't been trapped in her life. She had been tuned to it. She had the power to change the station at any moment. The sacred practice of timeline surfing will allow you to consciously choose your reality. Sit quietly and close your eyes. Feel your current reality, its textures, its emotions, its limitations. Now, with your intention, imagine a dial in your mind's eye. Slowly turn this dial and feel your consciousness shifting. Feel the subtle change as you tune into a parallel reality where you are slightly more confident, slightly more abundant. Continue turning the dial, moving through timelines of increasing expansion and power. Feel the reality of your ultimate self, the one who embodies all your desires. Fully step into this vibration. Make it your dominant frequency. The more time you spend tuned to this new reality, the faster your physical world will crystallize around it. In the ancient port city of Tyre, a young woman named Lila found herself lost in the labyrinthine alleyways. She watched as merchants communicated in a dozen different languages, yet understood each other perfectly, not through words but through a silent language of gesture, energy, and intention. She noticed a recurring symbol carved into the stone archways, a spiral with a dot at its center, a symbol that seemed to pulse with a hidden meaning. The universe is in constant communication with you. It does not speak in your native tongue, but in a language of symbols, patterns, and synchronicities. These are not random occurrences. They are love letters from the divine guidance system of reality itself. When you see recurring numbers like 1111 or 444, when a specific animal crosses your path repeatedly, when you overhear a conversation that speaks directly to your current question, these are not coincidences. They are winks from the cosmos confirming you are on the right path or gently nudging you in a new direction. Mastery of life requires you to become fluent in this symbolic language, to learn to read the signs that are all around you. One day, Lila followed a stray cat that bore the same spiral symbol on its collar. The cat led her to a hidden courtyard where an old scribe sat, illuminating a manuscript. He looked up as she approached and pointed to the symbol on the page before him. "It means the universe unfolds. From a single point of intention," he explained, "all paths lead back to the center. Your center." Leela realized that the signs had not been random. They had been guiding her on an inner journey to her own source of power. She had been looking for answers in the external world. when the universe was trying to show her that the answer was the point of consciousness within her, from which all her reality was projected. This is the purpose of signs and synchronicities. They are not fortunes to be told, but mirrors to be looked into. They reflect your inner state and guide you back to your own creative power. When you start paying attention, you enter into a conscious dialogue with the universe. You are no longer a passive observer of life, but an active co-creator dancing with the divine intelligence that orchestrates all things. The sacred practice of the synchronicity log will help you become fluent in this language. Dedicate a journal to this purpose. Each day, record any synchronicities, symbols, or meaningful coincidences you encounter. Do not try to analyze them intellectually. Instead, write down the feeling or insight that accompanied the sign over time. You will begin to see a beautiful and intricate pattern emerge. A personalized language between you and the universe, guiding you on your unique path in the final moments before his greatest victory. A general named Marcus faced an unexpected and devastating setback. His supply lines were cut. A surprise storm flooded the battlefield, and his most trusted legions were suddenly struck by a mysterious illness. Everything that could go wrong did go wrong. His advisors urged retreat, telling him the heavens themselves were aligned against him. You are now approaching the most perilous and powerful stage of the creative process. The test of faith just before your greatest manifestation crystallizes into physical form. The universe will often present you with a reality that is the polar opposite of your desire. This is not a punishment or a sign of failure. It is the final initiation. It is the universe asking you, are you certain? Do you truly command this reality? Or were you merely hoping for it? Your response to this test determines everything. If you waver, if you fall back into doubt and fear, the manifestation dissolves back into the field of potential. But if you hold your state, if you maintain unwavering certainty in the face of contradictory evidence, you pass the test and your desire is compelled to manifest with breathtaking speed and force. As General Marcus stood amidst the chaos and despair, he closed his eyes. He did not pray for victory. He did not ask for help. He simply entered the state of victory within himself. He felt the cheers of his men, the taste of celebration, the quiet satisfaction of a battle already won. He opened his eyes and walked out to his troops, not as a general facing defeat, but as a victor commanding his reality. An old soldier watching him whispered to a young recruit, "He does not see what is, he sees what will be," inspired by his unshakable certainty. His men rallied against all odds. They found overlooked paths through the flooded fields. They used the storm to their advantage, and they achieved a victory that would be spoken of for 1,000 years. Your mind is that battlefield when all external evidence points to failure. When your senses tell you it's impossible, you must choose. Do you believe your senses or do you believe your consciousness? The masters know that consciousness is the only reality, and that the physical world is but a shadow that must conform to the light of your unwavering conviction. The sacred practice of the unwavering gaze is designed for these moments when a challenge arises that seems to contradict your desire. Do not fight it, do not resist it, simply look upon it. With an unwavering gaze, hold the state of your fulfilled desire within you and project that certainty onto the challenging circumstance. See the circumstance not as a solid obstacle, but as a cloud of energy that is already dissolving in the light of your higher truth. Hold this unwavering gaze until you feel an internal shift, a sense of peace and knowing that transcends the physical evidence. This is the pinnacle of mastery, commanding reality, not by changing the outside, but by being unshakable on the inside. In the heart of an ancient monastery, a young monk named Kailash approached the head abbot with a question. "Master, I have meditated for years. I have recited the sutras. I have followed all the teachings, yet enlightenment eludes me. What more must I do?" The abbot smiled a gentle, knowing smile and picked up a single grain of rice. "You cannot make the rice grow by commanding it to. He said, "You must become the soil, the sun, and the rain. Your entire being must become the condition for its growth. You stand at the pivotal point of your journey where you must transcend the very idea of seeking. You have been taught to visualize, to affirm, to command. But these are the tools of a creator who still believes they are separate from their creation. The ultimate truth is this: you do not command the universe. You are the universe commanding itself through you. When you speak a desire, it is the cosmos whispering its own potential through your lips. When you feel a longing, it is the infinite seeking to experience itself in a new way. Manifestation is not an act you perform, it is a truth. You awakened to one evening as Kailash sat in the zendo. The abbot's words echoed in his mind. He stopped trying to achieve enlightenment. He stopped meditating. He stopped doing anything at all. He simply sat, and in that perfect stillness, he experienced a profound shift. He was not Kailash, the monk seeking enlightenment. He was enlightenment itself, experiencing itself as a monk. Named Kailash, the distinction is subtle, yet it changes everything. The universe responds not to your requests, but to your identity. As long as you see yourself as someone who is trying to manifest, you will remain in the state of trying. When you recognize yourself as the source of all manifestation, as the creator experiencing its own creation, the entire dynamic shifts. You no longer need to ask for. You are that which is. This is the state of divine embodiment, where the gap between desire and reality dissolves because you have realized they were never separate to begin with. The sacred practice of the I Am shift will help you cross this final threshold. Choose one of your most cherished desires instead of saying, "I want this," or "I command this shift." Your identity completely. Say, "I am the reality where this is true." For example, instead of "I want to be wealthy," say, "I am the consciousness of wealth itself." Feel the profound shift in your energy as you move from wanting to being. Do not just think this, feel it in your bones, in your blood, in the very marrow of your being. You are not a person who has wealth. You are the energy of wealth personified. This is the universal command to which all of reality must bow. In a quiet alchemical laboratory, a master named Alara worked not with beakers and burners, but with the very substance of emotion. She knew a secret that had been passed down through an unbroken lineage of mystics. That feelings are not merely reactions to life, they are the raw fuel of creation itself. You have been taught to fear your negative emotions, to suppress your anger, to avoid your sadness. This is like a blacksmith fearing the fire that forges the steel. Your so-called negative emotions are not enemies. They are concentrated power awaiting your command to be transmuted. Every surge of frustration holds the kinetic energy for a breakthrough. Every wave of sadness carries the potential for profound compassion. Every spark of anger contains the raw power to shatter old limitations. The art of emotional alchemy is not about replacing negative feelings with positive ones. It is about harnessing the raw power of all emotions and directing it with conscious intent. When you feel a powerful emotion rising within you, instead of resisting it or being swept away by it, you have a choice. You can become its master. One afternoon, a young apprentice named Finn came to Alara, his heart heavy with grief over a lost love. "I cannot create," he wept. "My heart is too full of pain." Alara handed him a lump of dull gray lead. "Place this in the crucible of your heart," she instructed, "and let the fire of your grief be the flame that transforms it." Finn was confused, but he trusted his master. He sat with his grief, allowing himself to feel it fully. Without judgment, as he did, he felt the raw power of the emotion, not as pain but as pure energy. He then consciously directed that energy into a vision of a new and beautiful creation. To his amazement, the lead in his hand began to shimmer and transform into a radiant gold. He had turned the lead of his sorrow into the gold of creation. This is the power that lies within you. You are an emotional alchemist with the ability to transform any state into a force for manifestation. The sacred practice of emotional transmutation will awaken this ability. The next time a challenging emotion arises, do not resist it. Sit with it, locate it in your body, feel its raw texture and power. Now thank the emotion for the concentrated energy it has brought you. Then consciously take that raw energy and with your intention redirect it into a vision of what you wish to create. Feel the emotion's charge fueling your vision, making it vibrant and real. You are not denying the emotion, you are honoring its power and giving it a higher purpose to serve your creative will. In the bustling city of Alexandria, a philosopher named Theron observed the flow of life with a keen eye. He noticed that some people moved through the world with an invisible aura of success. Opportunities seemed to find them, wealth flowed to them effortlessly, and doors opened before they even knocked. These individuals did not necessarily work harder or possess greater intellect. They simply vibrated at a different frequency. You are a living tuning fork, broadcasting a specific frequency into the universe at all times. This frequency is the sum total of your thoughts, beliefs, emotions, and your deepest assumptions about reality. The law of resonance, the most fundamental law of the universe, dictates that you can only attract experiences that match your dominant frequency. This is why visualizing wealth while feeling unworthy is a futile exercise. It is like trying to listen to a symphony on a radio tuned to static. Your visualization is the music, but your feeling of unworthiness is the static, and the static will always win. The secret to effortless manifestation is to become a vibrational match for your desires. It is not about chasing them, but about tuning yourself to their frequency so that they are drawn to you by the inescapable law of resonance. One day, Theron encountered a harpist in the city square whose music was so beautiful it seemed to make the very air shimmer. He noticed that before she played, she did not look at sheet music. Instead, she would close her eyes and hum a single perfect note. She would hold this note until her entire body was vibrating in harmony with it. Only then would she begin to play. He approached her and asked about her ritual. "I cannot create beauty," she explained, "until I become beauty. I must first become the music before the music can flow through me." Theron understood at that moment the principle of manifestation in its purest form. You must become the frequency of your desire before the desire can manifest in your world. The sacred practice of frequency attunement is the key to this mastery. Identify the core frequency of your desire. What is the essential feeling of it for wealth? It might be security, ease, and freedom for love. It might be connection, joy, and intimacy. Find a quiet space and begin to cultivate this feeling within you, not by thinking about it, but by generating it directly from your being. Use memories, music, or movement to help you amplify this feeling. Once you have established a strong, clear vibration of this frequency, simply rest in it. Let it be your new home base, your new energetic set point. The more you inhabit this frequency, the more you become a magnet for all things that resonate with it. The world around you will begin to rearrange itself to match the music you are now playing. In the timeless void where all realities are born, a traveler of consciousness named Orion learned to navigate the currents of probability. He discovered that time was not a straight line, but a braided river of infinite streams, each stream a different possible reality. He could not change a river once he was in it, but he could learn to leap from one stream to another. You have been living as if you are trapped in a single timeline, a fixed sequence of events. This is the illusion of linear perception. The truth is, you are shifting timelines with every thought, every feeling, and every choice you make. Most people do this unconsciously, creating a chaotic and often contradictory reality. Mastery comes from learning to shift timelines consciously and deliberately. This is the art of time distortion, the understanding that your desired reality does not lie in a distant future, but in a parallel present available to you right now, the moment you choose it. The key to this conscious jump is to stop trying to change your current reality. Instead, you must fully embody the reality you wish to experience. The universe responds to your state of being when you feel, think, and act as if your desire is already your present reality. You literally shift your consciousness onto the timeline. Where that is true, one day Orion encountered another traveler who was desperately trying to dam the river of his current circumstances. He was building walls of resistance, fighting the flow and becoming exhausted in the process. You are trying to change the water from within the river. Orion advised him it is far easier to step onto the bank and choose a new river to enter. The traveler was astounded by the simplicity and profundity of this wisdom. He had been a prisoner of his own perspective, believing he had to fix his problems. From within their context, Orion showed him that he could simply choose a new context, a new reality where those problems did not exist. This is the power that is awakening within you. You do not need to solve your problems. You can transcend them by choosing a reality where they are irrelevant. The sacred practice of the quantum leap is a ceremony of timeline shifting. Find a physical threshold, a doorway in your home. Stand on one side and feel the full weight of your current reality, its limitations and frustrations. Now close your eyes, and on the other side of the doorway, visualize the reality you wish to inhabit. Feel its energy, its freedom, its joy. See it not as a future possibility, but as a present and solid reality. Now take a deep breath and with conscious intention, step through the doorway as you cross the threshold. Declare aloud, I am now in the reality. Where your desire is my present truth. Feel the energetic shift as you step into this new timeline. You are not pretending, you are recalibrating your consciousness to a new vibrational address. In the grand theater of existence, a young actor named Leo struggled to find his place. He would audition for roles with desperation in his eyes, trying to be what he thought the casting directors wanted to see. His performances were technically skilled, but lacked the spark of authenticity that captivates an audience. He saw other actors who seemed to land roles effortlessly, not because they were more talented, but because they possessed an unshakable sense of self. The universe is a mirror. It does not reflect what you want to be. It reflects who you are being. You have been living your life as if it were an audition, trying to prove your worthiness to an external judge, whether it be a boss, a partner, or a vague notion of God or the universe. This is the fundamental error that keeps you in a state of perpetual seeking. When you live as a reflection, you are always one step removed from your own power. You are reacting to the world instead of creating it. The key to mastery is to stop looking into the mirror of the world for your reflection and to become the source of the reflection itself. One evening after a particularly disheartening audition, Leo sat in an empty theater. An old janitor who had seen thousands of actors come and go swept the stage and paused beside him. "They see a boy trying to be a king," he said, his voice raspy with age. "Stop trying to be the part and just be the king." The janitor's words were a revelation for Leo. He had been seeking permission to be powerful, to be successful, to be loved. He realized that he had to give that permission to himself. From that day on, he walked into auditions not as Leo, the actor, but as the king, the lover, the hero, the character he was portraying. He did not act the part, he became it. The world of casting directors and audiences responded instantly. They were not seeing an actor anymore. They were seeing the truth of the character made manifest. This is the final secret you must grasp. Your reality is not a fixed external thing. It is a fluid projection of your own consciousness. When you change what you are projecting, the reflection must change. There is no lag time, no delay. The moment you shift your internal state, the mirror of the world shifts with it. The sacred practice of the source. Reflection is the culmination of all these teachings. Stand before a mirror. But this time do not look for your reflection. Look through your eyes as if they are the projectors of reality. See the world in the mirror, not as a separate place, but as an extension of your own being. Now close your eyes and feel the world within you. Feel the mountains, the oceans, the stars, all existing as part of your infinite consciousness. You are not in the world. The world is in you. Hold this state of being. You are no longer the reflection. You are the source from this place. You do not need to manifest anything. You simply choose which aspect of yourself you wish to project, and the mirror of reality faithfully brings it to life. In a forgotten monastery, nestled high in the mountains, a master calligrapher taught his disciples a single profound lesson: the nature of the unwritten stroke. Before they were allowed to touch ink to paper, they had to spend a year mastering the art of non-attachment. They would hold the brush poised above the page, feeling the intention of the character they wished to write, but they would not write it. They had to learn to hold the creative impulse in a state of pure potential without the need for it to manifest. You have been conditioned to believe that desire must lead to manifestation, that every intention must be fulfilled. This creates a subtle but powerful tension in your energy field, an attachment to outcomes that paradoxically blocks the very flow you seek. The final stage of mastery is to transcend the need for manifestation itself. It is to find such profound fulfillment in the state of creative potential that the physical outcome becomes a beautiful but non-essential byproduct. Consider the sun. It does not shine in order to make things grow. It simply shines, and as a natural consequence of its being, life flourishes. Your creative power operates on the same principle. When you radiate the frequency of your desire from a state of complete self-fulfillment without needing the world to reflect it back to you, the universe rushes to manifest it. Not because you commanded it, but because it is the natural consequence of your state of being. A young weaver named Alara came to the monastery desperate to learn this secret. Her tapestries were beautiful, but she was consumed by the need for them to sell, for them to be acclaimed. She presented her work to the master, expecting praise or critique. Instead, he led her to a silent waterfall and told her to watch it for a week. At first, she was frustrated, but as the days passed, she began to see the water did not fall in order to reach the river. Below, it simply fell, and in its effortless surrender, it nourished everything in its path. She returned to her loom and began to weave differently. She poured her love, her joy, her very essence into the threads, without a single thought of the finished product or who might buy it. Her creations became more vibrant, more alive than ever before, and soon patrons from across the land came to her, not because she sought them, but because her work had become a pure emanation of her fulfilled spirit. This is the final freedom: to create for the sheer joy of creating, to love for the joy of loving, to be abundant for the joy of being abundant. When you reach this state, you have closed the loop of creation. You are no longer seeking anything from the external world because you have found everything within yourself. The sacred practice of the unmanifested state is the final key. Sit in your sacred space and bring to mind your greatest desire. Feel the pure joy, the power, the love of this reality within you. Now consciously release the need for it to ever appear in the physical world. Let the feeling itself be enough. Let the state of being be the entire fulfillment of the desire. Rest in this state of non-attached, radiant fulfillment. You will find that a profound peace descends upon you, and in this peace you become the most powerful creative force in the universe. For you have become like the sun, which shines not to get anything in return, but simply because it is its nature to shine in the heart of a silent desert. A traveler named Mara had spent her life searching for the legendary city of gold, a place of infinite abundance and eternal peace. She followed ancient maps, deciphered cryptic clues, and overcame countless obstacles. Yet the city remained a shimmering mirage on the horizon. One day, exhausted and on the verge of giving up, she collapsed onto the sand. As she lay there, she surrendered completely. She released her quest, her desire, her very identity as a seeker, And in that moment of absolute surrender, she opened her eyes. The desert had vanished, and she was standing in the golden streets of the city she had sought. The city had not been a place to find. It had been a state of consciousness to enter. You have been on a similar journey, a quest for wealth, for power, for fulfillment. You have learned the laws, the techniques, the practices, but the final step is not a step at all. It is a cessation of movement. It is the realization that you were already in the city of gold. All along, your seeking was the only thing keeping you in the desert. The final test is always a paradox. The universe asks you to demonstrate your mastery, not by doing, but by being, not by achieving, but by surrendering. The reality you have been striving for is not in the future. It is a parallel dimension of consciousness available to you. In the eternal now, the moment you stop trying to get there, you realize you have arrived. A young king named Arian inherited a kingdom in chaos. He used every strategy his advisors offered. He waged wars, he signed treaties, he levied taxes, but the kingdom only fell deeper into turmoil in his despair. He retreated to a secluded mountain temple. A wise sage who lived there offered him a single piece of advice: stop trying to rule your kingdom and simply be the king. Arian was perplexed, but he had tried everything else. So he followed the sage's counsel. He stopped making plans and strategies and focused entirely on embodying the qualities of a wise, just, and compassionate ruler. A strange thing began to happen as he changed his inner state. The kingdom began to change with him. Courtiers who had plotted against him became loyal allies, barren fields became fertile, and the people who had been divided by fear became united by hope. Arian had learned the ultimate secret of power. He did not need to control his kingdom. He only needed to command himself and the kingdom. As a reflection of his own consciousness naturally came into order. You are the king or queen of your own reality. Stop trying to manage the external world and focus on mastering your internal state. When you achieve inner coherence, the outer world will have no choice but to fall into divine order. The sacred practice of arrival is the final entry in your journal. Sit in your most sacred space and write a single sentence. I have arrived. Read this sentence aloud and feel the truth of it in every cell of your body. There is nowhere else to go, nothing else to achieve. You are here now in the fullness of your power, in the completeness of your being. Let the energy of seeking dissolve completely, replaced by the quiet, profound peace of arrival. This is not an end. It is the true beginning. You are no longer a seeker of reality. You are the source of it. In the heart of a city where time was currency, a woman named Isadora discovered an ancient clock in a dusty antique shop. It had no hands, and its face was a mirror. When she brought it home, she found that it did not measure hours or minutes. It measured her state of consciousness when she was lost in thoughts of the past or anxieties about the future. The mirror on its face grew cloudy, but when she was fully present in the eternal now, the mirror became a crystal-clear portal, revealing a world of vibrant potential and effortless flow. You have been conditioned to live in a state of chronological illusion, a prisoner of yesterday's regrets and tomorrow's worries. This mental time travel is the primary source of all human suffering and the greatest block to manifestation. The past is a memory, the future is an imagination. Only the now is real, and it is in the now that your entire power of creation exists. The masters of alchemy and the sages of old knew this secret. They did not try to manifest things in the future. They understood that creation is an instantaneous event that occurs in the timeless present. When you bring your full awareness to this moment, you collapse the wave of infinite possibilities into a single chosen reality. To be present is to be powerful. One afternoon, Isadora was meeting with a potential business partner who was famously difficult and indecisive. Instead of preparing a litany of arguments and counter-arguments as she would have, In the past, Isadora simply focused on being completely present in the room with him. She listened not just to his words, but to the space between them. She felt the energy of the moment. Without judgment or agenda, the man accustomed to people trying to manipulate or convince him was disarmed by her pure presence in that shared space. Now, a connection of trust was forged that was more powerful than any contract. A deal that had been stalled for months was agreed upon in minutes, not through effort, but through the alchemy of presence. This is the power you hold. When you anchor yourself in the now, you become a point of stillness. In a chaotic world, a center of gravity around which reality itself organizes. The sacred practice of the now anchor will train your consciousness to reside in this powerful state throughout your day at random intervals. Pause and bring your full attention to a single sensory experience. The feeling of your feet on the ground, the taste of water in your mouth, the sound of a bird outside your window. In that moment of pure sensory awareness, you are fully in the now. You are not thinking about the past or the future. You are simply being. The more you practice these micro moments of presence, the more it will become your natural state. You will find that from this centered place, your decisions are wiser, your actions more effective, and your ability to shape your reality becomes effortless and joyful. In the shadow of a great mountain, a potter named Seth spent his life trying to create a perfect vase. He used the finest clay, the most precise techniques, and a kiln that burned at a constant temperature, yet each creation emerged with a subtle flaw, a crack, a warp, a blemish that spoke of his inner struggle. One day an old master visited his studio. He watched Seth work for a long time, and then he said, "You are trying to force the clay to be perfect, but the clay already is perfect. Your job is not to impose your will upon it, but to reveal the perfection that is already there." Seth was humbled by this wisdom. He had been at war with his own creation, trying to make it conform to an idea in his mind, instead of listening to the clay itself. Your relationship with reality is like the potter's relationship with the clay. You have been trying to force it to be what you want it to be, to mold it to your will. This creates a state of resistance, a subtle battle between you and the universe. The final secret of mastery lies in shifting from forcing to flowing, from controlling to co-creating with the intelligence of the universe. Reality is not an inanimate lump of clay. It is a living, responsive intelligence that is constantly seeking to express itself through you. When you align with its flow, creation becomes an effortless dance. A young musician named Lyra experienced this shift in her own life. She was a technical genius on the violin, but her music lacked soul. She played with a fierce determination to conquer each note, to prove her mastery. One night before a major concert, her violin string snapped in her moment of panic. A memory of her first teacher surfaced. "You are not playing the violin," he had told her as a child. "You are letting the music of the universe play you." Lyra took a deep breath and walked onto the stage with a different intention. She was not there to perform. She was there to be a channel. She began to play, and the music that emerged was unlike anything she had ever produced. It was alive with a power and a beauty that seemed to come from beyond her. It was not her playing. The music was playing her. This is the state of grace that awaits you. When you surrender your personal will to the will of the divine, you do not lose your power. You become a conduit for a power infinitely greater than your own. You are no longer a small self, trying to manifest things. You are the universe manifesting itself through you. The sacred practice of the divine channel is a meditation of surrender. Sit in a quiet space and visualize a stream of golden light flowing down from the cosmos into the crown of your head. See this light filling your entire being, cleansing you of all personal agenda, all need to control. Now, speak these words: "I am a clear and perfect channel for divine intelligence to flow through me. I release my personal will and allow my highest good to unfold with grace and ease. Feel yourself as a hollow bamboo flute, allowing the breath of the universe to create a beautiful melody through you. In this state, you do not need to figure things out. You simply need to allow the answers, the opportunities, and the abundance to flow to you effortlessly. In the highest echelons of a forgotten civilization, the elders did not teach their students to manifest. They taught them to recognize the signature of reality. They understood that every desire, every dream, every potential future carried a unique, energetic frequency, a vibrational signature, and that the key to bringing it into form was not to chase it, but to become so familiar with its signature that you could recognize its presence in the subtle realms long before it appeared in the physical world. A young initiate named Alara was tasked with a seemingly impossible challenge: to find a rare crystal that was said to exist only in legend. Her teachers gave her no map, no clues, no directions. They simply gave her a small fragment of the crystal and told her to meditate on it until its energy became as familiar to her as her own heartbeat. For months, Alara sat with the fragment, feeling its subtle vibration, learning its unique resonance. She did not search for the crystal. She simply became one with its frequency. One day, while walking through a crowded marketplace, she felt a familiar pull, a resonance that was identical to the one she had been meditating on for months. She followed the feeling to a dusty stall where an old merchant was using a large, rough stone as a doorstop to the merchant. It was a worthless rock, but to Alara it was the legendary crystal she had been seeking. She had not found it through searching, but through recognition. Your desires are broadcasting their signature to you at all times. The problem is not that the signal is weak, but that your receiver is cluttered with the static of doubt, fear, and disbelief. The art of manifestation is the art of tuning your inner receiver to the precise frequency of your desire until its signature becomes unmistakable. A young composer named Julian struggled to capture the melodies he heard in his dreams. They were magnificent in the realm of sleep, but would vanish upon waking. He tried every technique to remember them, but they remained elusive. Then he learned the art of frequency holding instead of chasing the melody. He would focus on recreating the feeling, the emotion, the energetic signature of the music. Once he captured the signature, the notes would flow to him effortlessly, as if the melody was being drawn to its own energetic home. This is the key to your own creations. You do not need to build them from scratch. You need to tune into the frequency where they already exist. In their perfect and complete form, the sacred practice of signature recognition will train your perception in this art. Choose one desire and instead of visualizing it, focus on feeling its unique energetic signature. What does the reality of this desire feel like in your body? What is its emotional texture, its vibrational tone? Spend time each day immersing yourself in this signature until it becomes a familiar and tangible state of being. Then, as you move through your day, be on the alert for this signature in the world around you. You will start to notice it in unexpected places, in a conversation, a book, a chance encounter. These are the breadcrumbs leading you to the full manifestation. You are not chasing it anymore. You are being guided to it by the law of resonance in the sovereign realm of consciousness, which is your true home. There are no problems to be solved, only realities to be chosen. A grand master of a mystical order named Xavier taught this single truth to his most advanced disciples. He would lead them to a chamber of mirrors where each mirror reflected a different potential reality. One showed a world of conflict, another a world of harmony, one of scarcity, another of abundance. Your current experience, he would tell them, is simply the mirror you have been choosing to look at. Out of habit, you are not trapped in your reality. You are mesmerized by it. The power to change it is not to fight the reflection, but to simply turn your gaze to a different mirror. This is a truth so simple, it is radical. You do not need to fix your problems. You do not need to heal your wounds. You do not need to overcome your obstacles from this higher perspective. These are all just features of the particular reality you are currently focused on. The moment you shift your focus to a new reality, a new mirror, the old problems cease to exist because they are not part of the new reflection. This is not denial. It is divine selection. A young queen named Seraphina inherited a kingdom plagued by famine and strife. She exhausted herself trying to solve the endless problems, creating new laws, negotiating with warring factions, distributing food supplies. Yet for every problem she solved, two more would appear. In her despair, she sought the counsel of Xavier in the Chamber of Mirrors. Stop trying to fix the kingdom of scarcity, he advised her simply. Turn your full attention to the mirror that reflects the kingdom of abundance. Seraphina was skeptical but desperate. She followed his guidance. She spent her days not in war councils, but in deep meditation focused entirely on the reality of a peaceful, prosperous kingdom. She felt the joy of her people. She saw the abundant harvests. She heard the sounds of celebration. She did not think about how to get there, she simply lived there. In her consciousness, a miraculous thing began to happen. The rains came, the warring factions laid down their arms, and a new spirit of cooperation and innovation swept through the land Seraphina had not solved. The old problems, she had made them irrelevant by choosing a reality where they didn't exist. You have this same power. You can continue to fight the reflections in the mirror of your current reality, or you can make the sovereign choice to turn your gaze to a new one. The sacred practice of the mirror turn is the embodiment of this truth. Identify a persistent problem in your life. Now close your eyes and in your mind's eye see it as a reflection in a mirror. Acknowledge it without judgment now with your full intention and power. Turn away from that mirror and face a new one, a mirror that reflects the reality you choose to experience. A reality where that problem simply does not exist. Feel the relief, the freedom, the joy of this new reflection. Hold your focus here. This is your new reality. The old one only exists if you continue to give it your attention. When you withdraw your focus from it, it dissolves back into the field of pure potential, from whence it came, in the center of a swirling vortex of cosmic energy. An architect of worlds named Solara was shaping a new universe. She did not work with matter or force. She worked with a single element: belief. She understood that belief was not a thought or an opinion, but the very scaffolding upon which reality is built. It is the invisible structure that gives form to the formless, the framework that holds a universe together. Your life is a universe, and your beliefs are the girders and beams that determine its shape and its limits. You cannot build a skyscraper on the foundation of a shack. Yet this is what most people try to do. They try to manifest a life of abundance and joy upon a foundational belief system of scarcity and unworthiness. It cannot be done. The structure will collapse every time. The work of a master is not to decorate the rooms of their reality, but to inspect and rebuild the foundation. This is the most crucial and often the most overlooked aspect of conscious creation. Your beliefs are not true. They are simply the programs you are running, and you have the power to deinstall old programs and install new ones. A young cartographer named Elias was tasked with mapping a newly discovered continent. He was given the existing maps, which showed vast deserts and impassable mountains. He set out, and for months, his experience matched the maps. Exactly, he found deserts where the maps said they would be, and mountains blocked his path. Then one day his maps were destroyed. In a flash flood, lost and without his guide, he was forced to rely on his own senses. To his astonishment, he discovered that the desert was actually a fertile plain seen during a dry season, and the impassable mountains had a secret and easily traversed pass. Elias realized the maps had not been describing reality. They had been creating it. His belief in the maps had literally shaped his perception and his experience. He threw away the old fragments and began to draw a new map. one based on his direct experience, a map of abundance and possibility. And as he drew the new map, the continent itself seemed to respond, transforming around him to match his new vision. You are the cartographer of your own life. The beliefs you hold are the maps you are following. If you want to change your world, you must be willing to burn your old maps and draw a new one based not on past evidence but on your chosen reality. The sacred practice of belief alchemy is the furnace in which you will forge this new map. Take a belief that is limiting you. For example, money is hard to earn. Now find the emotional charge behind it. The feeling of struggle and anxiety, hold this feeling in your heart. Now ask yourself, what is the higher purpose of this belief? Perhaps it was to keep you safe, to keep you humble. Acknowledge this purpose with gratitude, then find a new belief that serves the same purpose but from a place of empowerment. For example, money flows to me easily as I provide value. Now here is the key. You must generate the emotional signature of the new belief. Feel the ease, the freedom, the joy of this new reality in your body until it is more real than the old one. Repeat this process until the new belief is installed as your default program. This is the true work of a creator, not to change the world, but to change the beliefs that create the world in a realm where thoughts took form as quickly as they were conceived. A being of light named Oriel was teaching a group of younger souls the art of creation. One of the souls, frustrated by their slow progress, cried out, "I believe I can create a star, but nothing happens." Oriel smiled with the wisdom of eons. "Belief is the doorway," he said, "but knowing is the key that turns the lock. You can believe a door is unlocked, but until you know it and turn the handle, you will remain on the threshold." There is a vibrational chasm between belief and knowing. Belief is a mental construct. It is hope. It is possibility. It is the ego's attempt to convince itself of something it doesn't yet fully embody. Knowing, on the other hand, is a state of being. It is a cellular certainty that resides beyond the mind. It has no opposite. There is no room for doubt in the space of knowing. It simply is. This is the final distinction that separates the amateur manifester from the master. The amateur tries to build a bridge of belief to their desire. The master realizes they are already on the other side and simply acts from that place. A young alchemist named Corvus spent years trying to turn lead into gold. He believed in the process. He had studied the ancient texts. He had performed the rituals, but the lead remained lead. Then one day his master came to him and said, "Stop believing you can turn lead into gold, and know that the lead is already gold, hidden under a different appearance." Corvus was stunned. He had been trying to change the substance when he should have been changing his perception of it. He looked at the lead not with belief but with the eyes of knowing, and in that instant he saw the golden light shimmering within the dull gray metal. The lead did not change. It revealed its true nature to him. This is the ultimate secret of power and wealth. You do not create them. You reveal them. They are your natural state, your divine birthright, hidden under the appearance of lack and limitation. The moment you shift from believing you can be wealthy to knowing that you are wealth itself, your reality must rearrange itself to reflect that knowing. For reality is a mirror, and it can only reflect the truth of your being. The sacred practice of the certainty switch is the final activation of your mastery. Sit in stillness and bring your desire to mind. Notice any feeling of belief or hope. Now consciously let that go. It is a lower frequency. Say to yourself, "I release the need to believe and I step into the state of pure knowing." Feel the shift in your energy. Belief is active striving. Knowing is passive, still yet infinitely more powerful from this state of knowing. Your desire is no longer a future event. It is a present fact. You do not need to visualize it. You do not need to affirm it. You are it. This is the point of no return. Once you have touched the state of pure knowing, you can never go back to being a seeker. You have become the source, and from this moment on, Your life will be a testament to the undeniable truth that your consciousness is the one and only creator of your reality in the heart of a galaxy where stars were born from the dreams of sleeping giants. A cosmic gardener named Cygnus tended to the seedlings of new worlds. He did not plant them with his hands, but with the resonance of his being. He knew that for a world to flourish, it had to be a reflection of a coherent inner state, a symphony of harmonious beliefs and emotions. One of his fledgling worlds, however, was plagued by chaos. Its inhabitants lived in a state of perpetual contradiction. They dreamed of peace but prepared for war. They yearned for love but built walls around their hearts. They desired abundance but hoarded their resources in fear. Your personal reality is such a world, and the chaos you may experience is not a sign of a flawed universe, but of an incoherent inner state. You cannot manifest a prosperous life from a consciousness riddled with contradictory beliefs. It is a spiritual and energetic impossibility. A house divided against itself cannot stand. The final stage of mastery is the cultivation of inner coherence. It is the process of aligning every thought, every emotion, every belief, and every action with the single unwavering vision of the reality you choose to create. It is about becoming a pure signal, a clear broadcast to the universe without any static or contradiction. A young empress named Anara inherited a vast empire that was on the brink of collapse. Its provinces were at war, its economy was in shambles, and its people were lost in despair. She summoned her advisors, who presented her with 1,000 different plans and strategies. But Anara sensed that the problem was not external. It was a reflection of a division within the soul of the empire itself. She dismissed her advisors and retreated to the great crystal at the heart of the palace. She spent her days and nights not making plans, but bringing herself into a state of perfect inner coherence. She aligned her mind with peace, her heart with compassion, and her will with abundance. She became the living embodiment of the empire she wished to rule. Slowly at first, and then with accelerating speed, the empire began to reflect her inner state. The warring provinces found common ground. The economy began to flourish, and a new sense of hope and unity spread among the people. Anara did not fix the empire's problems. She dissolved them by creating a new reality from a place of absolute inner coherence. You are the emperor or empress of your own reality. The state of your kingdom is a direct reflection of the state of your consciousness. The sacred practice of the coherence chamber is the forge in which you will create this inner alignment. Find a quiet space and sit in a posture of dignity and power. Close your eyes and visualize a sphere of golden light around you. This is your coherence chamber. Within this sphere, no contradictory thought or emotion can exist. Now bring the vision of your desired reality into the chamber. Feel it with all your senses. Now scan your inner world for any beliefs or feelings that are not in harmony with this vision. Do not fight them, simply bring them into the golden light of the coherence chamber and watch them dissolve and transmute into energy that supports your vision. Practice this daily until your entire being resonates with a single clear and powerful signal. This is the state of the Master Creator, a state of such profound inner coherence that the universe has no choice but to respond by manifesting a world that is a perfect and beautiful reflection of your aligned soul. In the final chamber of a timeless pyramid, a seeker who had traveled through all the stages of mastery stood before a single inscription. It was not a complex formula or a cryptic riddle. It was a single word: being. The seeker had spent a lifetime learning to do, to strive to command. But now he understood that the ultimate power lay in non-doing it, lay in resting so completely in the state of one's desired reality that the universe had to do all the work. You have now arrived at this final gateway. You have learned to command your mind, to transmute your emotions, and to align your energy. You have learned the laws and the practices, but the ultimate freedom comes when you release the need to practice at all. It is the realization that you are not a being, who manifests. You are manifestation itself. A young poet named Elian spent years trying to write the perfect poem. He studied rhyme and meter. He searched for the most beautiful words. He filled notebooks with drafts and revisions. But the perfect poem remained elusive. Then one day he stopped trying. He simply sat by a river and became one with the flow of the water, the song of the birds, the dance of the light on the leaves. In that state of pure being, the perfect poem wrote itself through him. He did not create it. He allowed it to be born. This is the final evolution of a creator, from doing to allowing, from effort to grace. When you have so fully embodied the reality of your desire, you no longer need to hold the vision. The vision holds you. You no longer need to generate the feeling. The feeling becomes your natural state. You no longer need to command reality. You and reality are one. The universe is no longer a separate entity that you are influencing. It is the extension of your own being, flowing and creating in a perfect and effortless dance. The sacred practice of dissolution is the final surrender. Sit in stillness and let go of all techniques, all practices, all efforts to manifest release. The identity of the manifester. Release the desire itself. Let yourself dissolve into the infinite field of pure potential from which all things arise. In this emptiness, you will find the fullness of everything. In this stillness, you will find the power that creates worlds. In this surrender, you will find the ultimate mastery. You have not come here to learn. You have come here to remember who you have always been. You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean. In a drop, the journey is complete. The awakening is now, and you will never be the same again. In a monastery carved into the cliffside of a silent mountain, a young monk named Kenji struggled to find peace. His mind was a tempest of thoughts, a relentless chorus of prayers, doubts, and ambitions. He believed that by filling every moment with spiritual practice, he could force his way to enlightenment. His master, an old man whose silence was more profound than any sermon, watched him for many weeks. One morning, the master led Kenji to the grand bell tower. The bell was a magnificent creation of bronze so large it took many men to hang it. The master handed Kenji a small wooden mallet and said, "Make the bell sing with the sound of the void." Kenji was confused, but he struck the bell. A resounding gong echoed through the valley. But the master shook his head. "No, that is the sound of bronze," he said. "That is the sound of your effort. Try again for hours." Kenji struck the bell, trying different rhythms, different pressures, but each time the master would say, "That is the sound of your striving. That is the sound of your wanting," exhausted and frustrated. Kenji finally dropped the mallet and collapsed at the foot of the bell. He surrendered his effort, his desire, his very identity as a seeker, and in the profound stillness that followed, he heard it, a subtle hum, an almost imperceptible vibration emanating from the bell itself, a resonance that had been there all along, drowned out by the noise of his own striking. The master nodded. "That is the sound of the void," he whispered. "It is the song the bell sings when you finally stop telling it what to sing. You have been taught to fill your mind with positive thoughts, to visualize your desires, to affirm your reality. But the truth is this: the greatest power is found not in the noise of your mind, but in the sacred silence between your thoughts. This silence is not empty. It is the womb of creation, the field of pure potential from which all form emerges. Your constant mental chatter, your endless inner monologue, is the static that drowns out the subtle frequency of creation. When you still the mind, you are not becoming passive. You are becoming the most powerful receiver in the universe. You are tuning into the silent broadcast of reality itself. In a modern boardroom high above a bustling city, a master negotiator named Claudia was known for her almost supernatural ability to close impossible deals. Her colleagues studied her words, her strategies, her body language, but they could never replicate her success. Her secret was not in what she said, but in the profound silence she commanded before she spoke in a tense negotiation. While others filled the air with arguments and proposals, Claudia would create a space of deep stillness. She would simply sit, present and silent. And in that void, her opponents would inexplicably soften their positions, revealing their true needs and offering concessions they had sworn they would never make. Claudia had learned what the ancient masters knew, that silence is not the absence of sound. It is the presence of power. It is a field of influence that rearranges reality without a single word. The sacred practice of the silent chamber is your gateway to this power. Find a time each day to sit in absolute silence for at least 10 minutes. Do not meditate, do not pray, do not visualize. Simply sit, be still, and listen to the silence. At first, your mind will rage like a storm. This is normal. Do not fight it. Simply observe the noise and return your attention to the silence itself. With practice, you will begin to perceive the silence, not as an absence, but as a substance, a field of intelligent energy. Feel this energy, feel its power. Let it permeate your being in this silent chamber. You are not creating your desires, you are aligning with the space where they already exist. In their perfect form from this stillness, all that you are meant to have will flow to you with the effortless grace of a river returning to the sea in a valley. Known for its miraculous fertility, a farmer named Samuel tended 2 identical fields. Side by side, he planted the same seeds, gave them the same water, and worked them with the same diligent hands. Yet one field flourished with an almost supernatural abundance, its crops tall and vibrant, while the other struggled, its plants small and withered. A wise woman who lived in the mountains observed Samuel for a season. She saw that as he worked in the struggling field, his mind was filled with worry. He focused on the weeds, on the threat of blight, on the possibility of a poor harvest. But when he worked in the abundant field, his mind was filled with appreciation. He noticed the beauty of the new growth, the richness of the soil, the promise of a bountiful yield. One evening she came down to him and said, "You are watering both fields with water, but you are watering one with fear and the other with love. Your attention is the true nourishment, and the fields are only showing you what you have fed them." This parable reveals a universal law of creation, so fundamental it is often overlooked. Your attention is the currency of reality. Where you place your focus, you invest your life, force, energy. What you appreciate appreciates what you worry about, magnifies. The universe does not judge what you focus on. It simply amplifies it with perfect and impersonal precision. You have been led to believe that you must solve your problems by focusing on them, by analyzing them, by struggling against them. But this is like trying to put out a fire by pouring gasoline on it. Your focused attention on a problem is the very energy that sustains its existence in your reality. Consider the story of Eleanor, a brilliant inventor who spent years trying to solve a complex engineering problem. She filled notebooks with calculations. She built countless prototypes, and she worked herself to the point of exhaustion. But the solution remained elusive. One night, in a moment of surrender, she gave up on the problem itself. Instead, she turned her full attention to the feeling of the solution. She imagined the joy, the relief, the elegant simplicity of the answer. She did not know what the answer was, but she knew what it felt like. She fell asleep in this state of fulfilled knowing and awoke the next morning with the complete blueprint of the solution downloaded into her mind. As if from a higher dimension, she had not found the answer. By focusing on the problem, she had attracted it. By focusing on the frequency of the solution. This is the secret of the masters. They do not fight darkness, they turn on the light. They do not struggle against lack. They place their unwavering attention on the reality of abundance. They know that the universe is a garden, and their attention is the sun. Whatever they shine it upon must grow. The sacred practice of the attention audit will give you command over this creative power throughout your day. Become a conscious observer of where your attention is going. Are you feeding your fears or your faith? Are you watering your problems or your possibilities? Each time you catch your attention on something you do not wish to expand, gently and without judgment, redirect it to its opposite. Do not fight the negative thought. Simply withdraw your attention from it and place it on the reality you choose to create. This is not a mental battle. It is a conscious redirection of your most precious resource, your creative attention. As you practice this, you will witness a profound shift. Your reality will begin to reform around the new focal points of your attention. The weeds in your life will wither from lack of nourishment, and the flowers of your desires will bloom in glorious and undeniable abundance. In the ancient port of Carthage, a sea captain named Marcus was renowned for navigating the most treacherous waters without a map or compass, while other captains clung to their charts and instruments. Marcus would stand at the helm of his ship with his eyes closed, feeling the subtle shifts in the wind and the current. He possessed an inner compass so finely tuned that it was more reliable than any external tool. One of his young sailors asked him for his secret master. "How do you know the way when the stars are veiled and the charts are lost?" Marcus opened his eyes. They held the calm depth of the ocean itself. "The universe whispers its secrets to those who stop demanding proof," he said. "Signs are for those who are lost. I am not lost, so I do not need signs. You are standing at the threshold of this higher level of mastery. You have been taught to look for signs, to seek validation, to ask the universe for confirmation that your desires are on their way. But this very act of seeking proof is a subtle and powerful declaration of doubt. It is a broadcast to the universe that you do not yet truly know. It is the energy of a child whistling in the dark, hoping they are going in the right direction. The masters do not look for signs, they are the sign. Their unwavering inner certainty is a beacon so powerful that reality itself rearranges to align with it. They understand that the universe is a mirror. If you are looking into it to see if you are smiling, it means you are not yet smiling. When you are truly smiling, the mirror can only reflect it back to you. Consider the journey of Isadora, a spiritual seeker who spent years attending workshops and retreats, collecting spiritual experiences like trophies. She would get excited by a feather on her path or a recurring number on the clock, seeing them as proof that she was on the right track. Yet her life remained largely unchanged. One day she met a true enlightened being, a woman who lived in a simple hut and radiated a peace that was palpable. Isadora eagerly told the woman about all the signs she had been receiving. The woman listened patiently and then said, "The cat does not look for signs that the mouse exists. It simply knows where to pounce. The demand for signs is the energy of the prey, not the predator." Isadora was shaken to her core. She realized that her sign-seeking had been a sophisticated form of spiritual ego, a way to feel special without embodying the true power of certainty. She returned to her life and began a new practice. She stopped looking for external validation and started cultivating an unshakable inner knowing. She practiced the state of being, the person who needed no proof, the one whose inner reality was more real than the external world. And as she did, the greatest sign of all appeared. Her life began to transform in miraculous and undeniable ways. The sacred practice of the sign fast is your initiation into this state of mastery for a period of 7 days. Make a conscious commitment to stop looking for signs. Do not interpret numbers. Do not seek meaning in coincidences. When a potential sign appears, simply acknowledge it and say, "I do not need this proof, for I already know." Instead of looking outside for confirmation, turn your attention inward and cultivate the feeling of absolute certainty. Feel what it is like to be the one who needs no reassurance, the one whose inner compass is the only guide you need. This practice will starve your doubt and feed your knowing. It will shift you from the consciousness of a seeker to the consciousness of a master. And from that state, your command of reality becomes absolute. In a forgotten scriptorium, an old monk named Brother Thomas was tasked with restoring a sacred text that had been damaged in a fire. Many of the chapters were unreadable, but one phrase had survived. "Intact the body is the temple, but not in the way you think." For decades, Brother Thomas had treated his body as a vessel for his spirit, something to be disciplined and transcended. But these words sparked a new understanding. He began to observe the subtle ways his physical posture influenced his mental and spiritual state. When he slumped in prayer, he felt distant from the divine. When he sat with a straight and dignified spine, he felt a direct connection to the source. The body is not a container for your consciousness. It is the physical manifestation of your consciousness, your deepest beliefs, your unconscious programs, your ancestral patterns are not just in your mind, they are encoded in the very cells of your body. They are held in the tension of your shoulders, the shallow rhythm of your breath, the subtle downward curve of your mouth. You can recite affirmations of worthiness for 1,000 years, but if your body is held in a posture of shame and unworthiness, your reality will always reflect the body's truth. For the body does not lie. Your physical form is a living history of your inner world, a three-dimensional printout of your subconscious mind. To truly transform your reality, you must rewrite the story, not just in your thoughts, but in your very flesh and blood. Consider the story of a dancer named Anastasia. She possessed incredible talent, but was always passed over for lead roles. She practiced relentlessly, but her movements, though technically perfect, lacked a certain power, a certain authority. One day, an old ballet master watched her dance and stopped her. "Your body is apologizing," he said. "You dance like a servant asking for permission to be on the stage." Anastasia was shocked, but she knew. He spoke the truth. She had grown up in a family where she was taught to be small, to not take up space. This belief was not a thought. It was a physical reality held in her collapsed chest and averted gaze. The master gave her a single instruction for the next month. Do not practice your steps. Practice being the queen. Walk like a queen. Breathe like a queen. Enter a room like a queen. Anastasia followed his advice. She began to consciously embody the physical presence of royalty. Her shoulders went back, her spine straightened, her gaze became direct and unwavering. At first, it felt like acting, but soon it began to feel real. Her very cellular structure was receiving a new set of instructions. When she returned to the stage a month later, her dancing was transformed. She moved with a power and a grace that commanded the space, and she was immediately given the lead role. She had not become a better dancer, she had become a different being, and her body was the instrument of that transformation. The sacred practice of cellular reprogramming will allow you to do the same. Stand in front of a full-length mirror and observe your posture without judgment. What story is your body telling now? Consciously shift into the posture of the person who has everything you desire. How would they stand? How would they breathe? What is the look in their eyes? Hold this new posture. Feel the new set of signals being sent from your brain to your cells. Now, from this embodied state, speak your desired reality aloud, not as a hope, but as a statement of fact. For example, my body is a magnet for health and vitality, or I am the physical embodiment of sovereign abundance. Do this for 5 minutes every day. You are not just changing your posture, you are changing your past and commanding your future from the temple of your own body. In the heart of an ancient forest there grew a tree unlike any other. It was gnarled and twisted, its bark scarred by lightning and its branches contorted into strange and beautiful shapes. The other trees in the forest pitied it for its apparent deformities. They whispered of its misfortune and its ugliness. But the animals of the forest knew the truth. They knew that the tree's deepest hollow, the place where the lightning had struck it, most severely produced a sap that could heal any wound, a nectar of pure life force. The tree had transformed its greatest trauma into its greatest gift. Your sacred wound, the deepest pain of your life, the thing you have tried to hide, to fix, To forget is the source of your greatest power. It is not a flaw to be overcome, it is a portal to be entered. You have been taught to seek your strength in your accomplishments, in your virtues, in the parts of you that are polished and presentable, but true invincibility is forged in the fire of your deepest vulnerability, the energy that is locked in your core wound. Whether it be a feeling of unworthiness, abandonment, or betrayal, is the most potent creative fuel in the universe when you have the courage to face this wound, not to heal it, but to honor it. You unlock a power that can reshape your reality. Consider the myth of the phoenix, the bird that is consumed by fire only to be reborn from its own ashes. The fire is not its enemy, it is the catalyst for its transformation. Your sacred wound is that fire. It is the alchemical furnace that can transmute the lead of your suffering into the gold of your divine purpose. A famous artist named Leonardo was haunted by a childhood memory of being locked in a dark closet for hours. He spent his life running from this memory, from the feeling of terror and helplessness. But the darkness followed him. His art was technically brilliant, but cold and lifeless. One day, in a session with a wise therapist, he was guided to go back into the memory of the closet, not to relive the trauma, but to find the gift within it. As he sat in the darkness of his mind's eye, he realized that in that closet, he had developed an extraordinary sensitivity to the subtle gradations of light and shadow. His eyes had learned to see. In the dark, he went back to his studio and began to paint from this place. From the darkness he had always feared, his art was transformed. It became imbued with a depth, a mystery, a power that captivated the world. He had found his genius not in his light, but in his darkness. The sacred practice of the golden scar is a journey into this power. Find a quiet space and bring to mind your sacred wound. Feel the pain of it without judgment or resistance. Now ask this wound a question: what power was forged in me because of this? What strength, what wisdom, what unique gift did I develop in order to survive this? Listen for the answer. It may come as a word, an image, a feeling. Once you have identified the gift, the power that was born from your pain, visualize this wound as a scar on your soul. Now see this scar beginning to glow with a brilliant golden light, like the Japanese art of kintsukuroi, where broken pottery is repaired with gold, making it more beautiful and valuable than it was before. See your wound not as a place of breakage, but as a line of golden strength, a testament to your resilience and a source of your unique power. Wear this golden scar with pride. It is the signature of your soul, the mark of a master who has learned to turn their deepest pain into their most profound power in the vast, silent expanse of the cosmos. There is no judgment, no preference, no good or bad. There is only the flawless mechanics of energy and resonance. The universe is divinely indifferent. It does not care if you are a saint or a sinner, worthy or unworthy. It responds to only one thing: the frequency you are broadcasting. This is the most liberating, and for some, the most terrifying truth you will ever encounter. It liberates you because it means you do not need to earn your desires. You do not need to prove your worthiness. You do not need to be good enough to receive abundance. You only need to align with its frequency. It is terrifying because it means there is no one to blame. There are no external forces holding you back. There is no malevolent fate conspiring against you. You are the sole and sovereign creator of your experience, and your reality is a perfect and impersonal reflection of your inner state. Think of the wind. It does not ask if a ship is on a noble quest or a pirate's raid. It simply fills the sail that is raised to catch it. Your consciousness is the sail. The universe is the wind. Your job is not to petition the wind or to prove your ship is worthy. Your job is to set the sail to align your consciousness with the reality you choose to create. A farmer named Caleb and a priest named Elias lived in a village plagued by drought. Elias led the villagers in days of prayer and fasting. Beseeching God to send rain, he spoke of their sins and their need for repentance. Caleb, on the other hand, said nothing. He spent his days studying the ancient patterns of the clouds, the subtle shifts in the air pressure, and the behavior of the birds. He knew that the conditions for rain were a matter of science, not morality. When his inner knowing told him the atmosphere was ready, he planted his seeds. The rains came and Caleb's fields flourished while the rest of the village remained barren. Elias declared it a mystery of God's will, but it was not a mystery. It was the law of alignment Caleb had understood, that the universe responds to resonance, not righteousness. He had set his sail to the wind, while Elias was still arguing with the captain of the cosmos. This divine indifference is the source of your ultimate freedom. It means the past has no power over you. Unless you choose to broadcast its frequency, your history of failure does not prevent you from manifesting success. Now, your perceived flaws do not make you less deserving of love than anyone else. The universe is not looking at your report card. It is only reading your energetic signature. The sacred practice of the neutral field is a meditation on this truth. Sit in stillness and visualize yourself in an infinite field of pure white light. This field is the universe, pure potential. Neutral and responsive, feel its divine indifference, its lack of judgment, its perfect impartiality. It is not for you or against you. It simply is now from this neutral space. Introduce the thought of your desire. See it as a frequency, a vibration you are choosing to emit. Watch as the neutral field instantly begins to coalesce around this frequency, taking its form not because you are good or deserving, but simply because you have introduced a signal into the field. This practice will free you from the endless trap of seeking worthiness and place you in the seat of pure power. You are not a supplicant before a cosmic king. You are a conscious creator in a responsive and intelligent universe in a sterile laboratory. A team of scientists was testing a new revolutionary drug. They gave one group the drug and another group a simple sugar pill, a placebo. To their astonishment, the placebo group showed almost the same level of improvement as the group receiving the powerful new medication. The lead scientist, a man named Dr. Alaric, was baffled by the results. For years he had believed that healing came from the chemical compounds in a pill, not from the patient's mind. You are about to understand a secret that mainstream science is only now beginning to touch. The placebo effect is not an anomaly. It is the most powerful and scientifically documented proof of your mind's ability to create reality. It is not a trick or a fluke. It is the curtain being pulled back, revealing the true Wizard of Oz, your own consciousness, your body, and your world. Do not respond to external substances. They respond to your belief about those substances. When you believe a sugar pill will heal you, your consciousness sends a powerful command to your body's innate intelligence, which then produces the precise chemistry needed for healing. The pill was not the medicine. Your belief was the medicine. Now, take this principle and expand it to every area of your life. Your job is not the source of your abundance. Your belief about it is. Your partner is not the source of your love. Your belief about them is the external world, is the placebo, and your consciousness is the active ingredient. In a small village in the Himalayas, a healer named Anja was famous for her miracle cures. People would travel for weeks to receive one of her sacred amulets, which she said contained the healing power of the mountain gods. Anyone who wore the amulet was healed of their ailments. A skeptical doctor from the West decided to investigate. He acquired one of the amulets and had it analyzed in a laboratory. The results came back. The amulet was nothing more than a common river stone. Anja, hearing of his findings, invited him to her hut. "How can a simple stone heal incurable diseases?" he demanded. Anja smiled gently. "The stone does not heal them," she said. "The stone gives them permission to heal themselves. It is a placebo for the soul." a focus for their own innate power. The doctor had come to expose a fraud, but he left with a profound understanding of the true nature of healing. He realized that the greatest power in the universe was not in a drug or a technology, but in the untapped potential of the human spirit. The sacred practice of conscious imbuement is the art of using this power deliberately. Take a simple object, a glass of water, a crystal, a piece of jewelry. Hold it in your hands and close your eyes now with your full intention and emotion. Project the energy of your desire into this object. Feel the water becoming a potion of vitality. Feel the crystal becoming a magnet for wealth. Feel the jewelry becoming a talisman of love. Thank the object for accepting this charge. Now, when you drink the water or wear the crystal or the jewelry, you are consciously activating the placebo effect. You are giving your subconscious mind a powerful physical anchor for the reality you are choosing to create. You are not just hoping for a change. You are swallowing the very medicine of your own divine consciousness in the hallowed halls of a secret society. A grandmaster named Valerius was initiating a new apprentice. He did not give him books of spells or teach him complicated rituals. He led him to a single room that contained only a loom and a single golden thread. "This is the only tool you will ever need," he said, "for with it you can weave any reality you desire." The apprentice was confused. "How can I weave a world with a single thread?" Valerius smiled. "The thread is your focus, your attention. It is the raw material of creation. What you weave with it becomes your world. You live in an infinite ocean of information and potential. Your reality is determined by where you choose to place the needle of your attention. You can focus on the evidence of lack and weave a tapestry of poverty, or you can focus on the evidence of abundance and weave a tapestry of wealth. The pattern is always your choice. You have been taught that multitasking is a skill, a sign of productivity, but in the realm of conscious creation, it is a fatal flaw. A scattered focus creates a scattered and incoherent reality, a life of half-finished projects and unfulfilled desires. Mastery requires the cultivation of a laser-like focus, an ability to place your unwavering attention on a single point until it ignites into manifestation. Consider the sun. Its rays are powerful but diffuse, spread over a vast area. But when you take a magnifying glass and focus those same rays onto a single point, they can create fire. Your attention is that magnifying glass. When you concentrate it with singular intent, you can set your world ablaze with miraculous creation. A young archer named Kira was known for her uncanny ability to hit any target. No matter how small or distant, her secret was not in her strength or her eyesight. It was in her focus. When she drew back her bow, she did not see the bow, the arrow, or even the target. She became the single point of connection between her intention and its destination. The world would dissolve around her, and for a single timeless moment, only the flight path of the arrow existed in her reality. She did not hope to hit the target. She was already there. The sacred practice of the single thread will train this power within you. Choose one and only one major desire to focus on for the next 30 days. Write it down on a piece of paper and place it somewhere you will not see it again. The act of writing it down is your command to the universe. Now for 30 days you will weave with a single thread your attention. Whenever a thought arises that is not related to your chosen reality, gently let it go. Whenever an opportunity appears that is not in alignment with your vision, politely decline. Your job is not to make it happen. Your job is to hold a pure and unadulterated focus on the end result, to become a vibrational match for the reality you have chosen. By withdrawing your attention from all that is not your desire, you starve the old reality and feed the new one. This is the path of the master weaver, creating a magnificent tapestry of life, not with 1,000 scattered threads, but with the single powerful thread of a focused and unwavering mind. In the timeless chronicles of the Akashic records, where every thought and deed is recorded, There is a chapter on the final illusion. It speaks of a point in a soul's evolution where they have mastered all the laws of manifestation, yet still feel a subtle sense of unease, a feeling that something is missing. This is the illusion of arrival, the belief that there is a final destination, a peak of mastery to be reached, where the work is done and the journey is over. You are approaching this final veil. The truth is this: there is no final destination. Consciousness is an infinite spiral of expansion. There is no end to becoming, no plateau of permanent enlightenment. Each level of mastery you achieve simply reveals a vaster and more magnificent landscape of possibility. Before you, the goal is not to arrive, but to enjoy the journey, to fall in love with the process of perpetual expansion. A master painter named Serafina had created thousands of masterpieces. Her work was celebrated in every corner of the world, and she had achieved a level of skill that seemed to be the pinnacle of her art. One day, a young admirer asked her master, "Which of your paintings is your greatest?" Serafina smiled and pointed to a blank canvas in the corner of her studio. "That one," she said, "the one I have not yet painted." The young admirer was confused. "But your other paintings are perfect," she insisted. Serafina's smile deepened. "Perfection is a cage, my dear," she said. "It is the end of growth, the death of creation. My greatest work is always the one I am about to begin, for it holds the infinite potential of all that I am becoming." This is the mindset of a true master. They do not rest on their laurels. They do not become attached to their past creations. They are perpetually in love with the blank canvas, with the unwritten poem, with the unmanifested potential. They know that the joy is not in the having, but in the becoming. This is a profound shift from the goal-oriented mindset of the ego to the process-oriented joy of the soul. The ego wants to acquire things, to tick boxes, to reach a final state of security. The soul wants only to experience its own infinite nature through the endless act of creation. The sacred practice of the blank canvas is an invitation into this state of being each morning when you wake up. Before you begin your day's activities, sit in stillness and visualize a pure white blank canvas before you. This canvas is your day, your life, your infinite potential. Do not project any old images or desires onto it. Simply rest in the pure possibility of it. Feel the excitement, the freedom, the joy of not knowing what masterpiece will emerge from it today. Release the need to control the outcome. Release the attachment to past successes and failures, and open yourself completely to the divine surprise that the universe has in store for you. When you live from this place, you are no longer a manifester. You are a living work of art, a masterpiece in perpetual creation. And your life becomes a gallery of wonders that will astonish and delight not just you, but the entire cosmos.